Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today is going to be part 2 of the I interview. Um, I decided to break it up into 2 pieces because the interview altogether was like an hour and a half or so, which seems kind of excessive for a video platform. There might be limits on YouTube, I'm not sure, I don't know. But anyway, thanks to everyone who watched the first one. If you haven't watched the first one yet, it's up there, of course, part 1. I have a couple other videos up here. Yeah, today is part 2 of the I video. Hope you enjoy it. I thought I was going to have some records to show you, but I don't. Hit subscribe and like and stuff and tell your friends. I have a couple other videos planned. The first one I might do very soon is going to be probably a flip video of like things I'm purging. I have a Discogs page, of course, with a lot of like used stuff, some carbon stuff, but it's mostly used stuff, personal collection that I'm just getting rid of. I'm always trying to purge that unit back there. Always trying to keep it in the unit, always failing. So I have a box of new things that I purged in the last week. So I might do a flip video of that. Dom from Seeking Thread did one, and I really liked the idea of those. I'll probably keep them on Discogs for people to buy. Unless I guess you message me separately, and then maybe we could do it offline. But anyway, thanks and enjoy the video. Check out My Teeth and the Attention podcast too if you haven't already. That's what this video is from. It's a video version of the podcast, the audio podcast, and I have a couple more things planned for more interviews. Then there's a bunch of interviews, 20-some interviews up there. So check that out if you haven't done that already. myteethnittattention.com. All right, take care and have a good one. Bye. So John, how did you get connected with these guys? Like at one point was that, and how did it happen?
Well, let me see. I started off here playing in a band called Rory Storm and the Invaders, and that was another band that I joined. Um, Played a gig before we'd ever had a practice, and that gig that we played ended up being released by, is it Celebrate Psi Phenomenon? The
Yeah.
Anthony Milton, is it Anthony's early label?
Campbell Neal. Yeah.
Campbell Neal's label, yeah. And then I hooked up with Jim Curran, who we had a duo. He was running a label called United Fairy Moons that was doing lots of stuff, and he was kind of a real hub for our scene that was based around Nun Gallery and Art Cafe at the time. But then that kind of fell apart. I got to a point where I was like, it had fallen apart on my side so badly that I was like, actually, fuck playing noise music anymore. I'm tired of this scene. And I was taking guitar lessons and had bought myself this beautiful Fender thin line Telecaster and was like, oh, I'm going to be a guitarist. I'm going to play at campfires and stuff. It's going to be great. And then
I'm still waiting for that.
yeah, and then maybe 10 months into my weekly 20-minute guitar lesson year, which was not really a great way to learn guitar. Must have just run into Peter Stapleton at something, and he's like, "Oh, you should come have a jam with us sometime." Also, we're playing a gig at Nun if you wanted to sit in on that on X date, and that was it.
Yeah, I think because so I started with Peter and Nathan and I, and then after a couple of years, Nathan went to Australia. So then Ryan Coburn joined, who played. He was very interesting. He played turntable, but he would physically cut records in half and glue different halves of the record together. So they'd either loop or jump, and he used lots of sound effects. I mean, the first few practices we had didn't work at all because he was trying to play more conventional records like a Prince album and stuff. I go, yeah, this isn't really conceptually it might work, but it's not really doing it. But anyway, we found a way it worked really well. So Ryan was with us for I can't remember how long, a few years maybe.
Yeah.
And then he went to Australia, but then Nathan was coming back from Australia, so Nathan rejoined the band. And then after maybe a couple of years more, perhaps Peter and I are thinking, I think we need to sort of have something else happening. And that's when I think we talked about asking you.
Right.
And yeah, I love that you came along, sat in and did that gig with us. And then I think we did 3 more gigs before we even decided to have a practice. So you just kind of slotted in straight away. And it's great to have somebody who's got the confidence just to sit down and play. Because it's just about, improvised music's about listening to each other.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
would
You
say,
guys,
not that the DC do that. They're just 3 people who don't listen to themselves at all, and it just worked amazingly.
That's right.
They've just got a chemistry. Yeah.
well, I mean, with them, and I wonder if this is something, they're really comfortable with failing, right? Like if a Dead Sea show is not going to work, they don't try and make it work. It's just like it works or it
Yeah.
doesn't, and it's either blindingly amazing or sometimes it's just like, oh man, like, come on, guys, But it's just like, but that's the nature of it, right? And that's why when it is
Mm.
amazing, it's super fucking amazing. And I
Mm.
mean, did I have that aspect too, where it's like if you're inviting people into the band, you're not sure how it works, it's going to work yet, but you're playing shows. I mean, you guys must be prepared to fail sometimes, right? Like, is that part of it? Is like you take the risk, but part of it is, you're willing for it to not work occasionally.
Yep, always prepared for it to fail, but I don't think it ever did.
No.
I always, no, just honestly,
Yeah.
I can't remember finishing a gig and actually we did finish one gig at one of the lines of flights, and you and I sat there going, like halfway through it, I had this idea that I'd try a new tuning and that this wasn't working. So halfway through, I kind of crouched behind the amp and retuned my guitar and sort of got through to the end. And then you and I think, sat on the door for the next act, whoever that was. And we were going, oh gosh, that was really hard work. But we kept being interrupted by people going, oh, that was amazing. And we were going,
Yeah.
hang on,
Yeah.
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 thanks. But
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
feel it.
that's how it always goes. When I said just there, when all the Dead Sea don't try and make it work when it's not working. Well, when I can think of the Dead Sea gigs that I've attended where I'm like, well, that just didn't work. Every single one of those has been released. So, you know, and that's what, and I've had that experience too, where I've played a show and I'm like, oh man, that went terrible, and everyone comes up to you and is like, do you have any records? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah.
always bizarre
It's
feeling.
a common thing. That theme has come up multiple times on this podcast where
Mm.
people say they do
Mm.
shows and like you're not feeling it while you're doing it, and they get done and people are maybe they're blowing smoke up your ass, maybe not, maybe they're into it, and then you go back and listen to the recording and you're like, oh wow, it's completely worked, but like your
Yes. Yeah.
mindset. And I love that idea that John talked about is like chasing a static kind of feeling. Um,
Mm.
I really like the times when I'm playing where it's not working to a point where I'm real conscious of everything. Um, is the times where I'm like nervous and bummed. But then it usually, when they listen
Yeah.
to it afterwards, it's cool. I'm always chasing that idea of like I love the sets where I don't know how long we played for, because that
Mm.
means I was out of
Yes.
it. That
Yeah.
means I was or in it. Uh,
Yeah, and Andrew, you alluded to that a bit earlier, that when it's working really well, and often you don't, it feels like you're just watching the music's playing itself,
mhm.
and sometimes you don't know who's playing, doing what, especially in those our non-raucous
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
All you know is whatever you're doing, you just can't stop doing it, because
Yeah.
that might be one of the crucial parts of
Yeah.
uh, that
That
sound.
That's
that
right.
then that's something about these two albums that I think is like really captured well. And and you can hear this across recordings, but I think these albums really capture like that kind of moment super well, where you can tell that it's like, oh, this is a band that's like, that this is people in a room at that point where it's self-propelling. You get that feeling. It's really clear, which is why they're such
I
great
think that's
albums.
lovely to hear that. Because also with this music, it's like when you're doing a record, you get to a point where you've got no idea whether it's amazing or terrible,
Mm.
or even you might still think it's good, but you don't know what other people are going to think of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that you like it. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was really having the listening party the other day. It was quite amazing listening to it again, because we listened to it and listened to it and listened to it and listened to it and listened to it, and then we've had a real break
Yeah.
for couple of years of hardly listening to it at all, and then listening to it, knowing that other people are listening at the same time, made me even more aware of the sounds and everything. So it was
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
quite moving to go through it all together. So thank you for organizing that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool because I feel like, I'd listened to it a whole bunch to write about it, but to watch other people who know your work quite well listening to it and having the moment where like Peter Wright is like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, and he's heard every other I record, and it's this moment where he's like, whoa, and it's like, yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And we have so much respect for his music as well.
Oh
So
God, yeah.
having him say that is like, that's way up there on the list of compliments. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the whole album to get to this point, it's been a very emotional journey because, as Peter died of cancer in 2020,
Mhm.
and we obviously it had all been. I mean, we record all our practices, which is why we've got so much stuff sitting there waiting for us to sift through. But and we'd done kind of rough mixes before he died, but then after that, we just didn't want to listen to anything for
I bet.
years
Yeah.
almost.
And I completely stopped playing music for maybe 18 months as well, because I just had no idea how I was going to play outside of I.
Yeah, and I remember one person saying to me who didn't know me very well or the music said, "Oh, so you're going to get a new drummer to play
Oh
for the
my
band?" I was like,
gosh. See, that's what I mean about never tell anyone you work that you play music, 'cause you gotta feel
"Yeah,
suggestions like that, like, oh wow.
yeah, yeah." I don't even know what I said to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, even if you don't know the history, that's still just an idiotic thing to say to someone.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man, I'm sorry you had to do that.
Oh no, I just yeah.
It was quite funny.
I knew it would be funny later.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I want to make it clear too that Peter Stapleton did have a huge amount of say in how these albums were finished. We were literally working on the record and making notes and talking about aspects of the record up until the last time I visited him at home before he went to hospice. So
right.
um,
Huh.
yeah.
That something I've always felt that I albums because improvised music sometimes you get albums that feel like status reports, collections rather than albums as such, which can be fine. Hey, here's what we're doing, here's what's come out of it, and here's 60 minutes of it on a CD or whatever. But I albums never really felt like that. I albums always felt really intentionally paced and put together in a really particular way as albums rather than, you know, status reports is a cruel word because it makes it sound like
Yeah.
but do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that's a bad approach, right? Because I listen to a lot of music where that is how it comes out, but I albums felt like albums in a very intentional way in the way they were paced and what track
Oh,
went
that's
where.
good. Yeah.
So I was wondering that about this. So these were like a really long time in gestation then.
Yeah, and like we spent a long time trying to, well, obviously work out which tracks, or when I say tracks, which chunks of music we wanted to make to tidy up, I guess. Johnny did amazing stuff mixing it, and then Forbes, and then the order, and then because we had it enough at least for a double album, and at one stage we thought, well, a double album would be a lovely way to honor Peter's memory, but of course, no one's going to buy double albums these days. Well, a few people will, but it's just not financially viable. So then trying to decide what goes on each track, and then I think on each album, and then it slowly became a really good idea just to have all the drums on one album and the non-drums on the other, because for the last few months of Peter's life, he couldn't drum anymore with his cancer, so he moved on to electronics, and he always,
which he always
yes,
did. I was
yeah,
thinking last night about um, when one of the three of us couldn't make a gig because we were out of town or whatever. We had a side project of I called Yi, that was just two members of I playing. So, and we did that
E
quite
was
often.
it? So it's
YE,
spelled E. Oh, Y-E. Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yi. So one gig that Peter and I played when you were out of town was at Sally and Campbell's with when Ezra Buchla was in town. Ezra Buchla was in
What?
town.
How Ezra Buchla was even? I didn't even know Ezra
Yeah,
Buchla. I know Ezra from LA. He's
his
fucking
his
brilliant.
mom his mom teaches at the university here, I think.
You're kidding. I had no idea. I like
Yeah, I
Ezra
don't even
Buchla is
know.
someone I cannot sing high enough praises of that guy's approach. He is
Oh, I
absolutely
know,
brilliant. But sorry, please.
definitely.
Yeah.
So he was here for a gig visiting his mom. I think he's only been here once, but and you were out of town, and I was playing one of my first times playing with the modular synth, which was quite a heavy thing to be doing in front of the son of one of the inventors of modular synths. And Peter Stapleton was just playing white noise on the radio. So, and this is years ago, so he'd always involved electronics as part of his practice.
Yeah, shortwave radio. Yeah,
Shortwave
lots of
radio.
our in the early years, he'd always have shortwave radio for playing live and just trawl through the stations.
And
Like Keith Rowe, kind of.
Yeah, I've
when
always
we were having the listening party the other day, and I was one of the drumless pieces that we were listening to, I was doing lots of white noise stuff, and that was fully because Peter, when he wasn't using white noise from the radio as an instrument, he would create sheets of white noise through the cymbals. So like that was a sound that he really loved to manipulate, was that just all frequencies all at once, piercing hiss, whether it was through electronics or drums.
right.
That's
Yeah.
why Mick was deaf in one ear.
Yeah, yeah,
Mick
yeah.
Alvarado, he said he's deaf in one ear because he was always be next to Peter's cymbal in the small practice space for decades.
Yeah. And why? Because Mary Rose Crook was briefly in the terminals as well, and she left because she couldn't stand the sound of Peter's cymbals. So
Wow.
She told me she lasted a week, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing to hear that Ezra played there and that you guys got to play with him. He's yeah, fantastic. And it's funny you should say that, I can imagine it would be nerve-wracking playing modular the first time in front of Ezra, but all the times I've seen Ezra play, which is many in LA for years, or a whole ton, he would always use freeware on a laptop or a viola.
Yep.
I've never seen him
Right.
play a synthesizer of any kind, which is
No.
hilarious and interesting. But I think the first time I only saw I once, sadly,
Oh, when was
um,
that?
at Chicks, and with Strange
Oh,
Girl,
that's right.
Metal
Yes,
Rouge.
with Metal Rouge.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Strange
Yeah.
Girls were amazing. But I think at that point, John, you weren't using modular at that point.
No.
But I don't remember what you did have. You had like an array of pedals, or what were you
Yeah.
doing?
And I also, so I had pedals, and um, I had a clone of this funny synth that I'd had when I was a backpacker here. And weirdly, I was traveling around as a backpacker with like a camera case filled with pedals and a little battery powered amp and stuff.
No food.
Yeah. And there was a company called Coron, that made a thing called a drum synth, SYNCE. And it was, you could set it on the rim of your snare and it would respond to hits from rim shot hits and trigger a shitty analog synth that would go like that. So I, I had a clone of that you just could tap the body of the pedal, And so I would just kind of be tapping that and then manipulating the knobs for really, really simple analog synth sounds, but then through pedals.
Huh, and is that setup reflected on any of the I albums?
The split 12-inch that we did with Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Right.
that's what I'm playing there too. Yeah.
Okay.
And what about that? What was that Bada Bing tape that we did?
Oh yeah, there'd be some on the yeah.
So the
Future
future will
be
be repeated.
repeated.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah.
That's such a good one.
It is
Yeah.
great. Yeah, that one, we kind of need to get that out somehow. Be nice.
It's on the I think it's on the
Hmm.
on the Bandcamp
Oh,
page.
okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not because we put all the other previous versions of it. Repeated
We talked
future.
to
Right.
Ben.
Well,
Yeah.
so what? That one confuses me. So there's 3 versions of that album?
Yeah, there are.
Because I looked
All
at it,
similar titles.
They're all
I thought you'd made a mistake on your Bandcamp. I was like, oh, they've uploaded that one twice. Like what?
No.
they're all different.
Yeah.
Different tracks. Oh, one of the two on the Mike Cohn side. I think the
They're
first two,
crossovers, yeah.
Nathan did the first two just in a week to have something to sell at a Lines of Flight festival. Because we played at all the, we played, gosh, how many Lines of Flights did we play? Let's see. 6, 9, 11, 12, 13, 15, 8. Yeah. So we're kind of the house band for Lines of Flight when we go to play. And a couple of times we weren't going to play, but then Nathan came over once and said, oh, I'm going to play, and you want to play. Peter, we're going, oh, maybe we've played too much, but anyway.
I feel bummed. The only Lines of Flight I ever saw is like the only one you didn't play. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, how often is the Lines of Flight? You said it's roughly every 2 years.
Yes.
Was
Yeah.
there a break in
There was,
the
it
starting in
was part
2000?
of
You
the,
said.
yeah, it was started 2000. It was part of the Dunedin Fringe Festival for many years, which was a 2-yearly to start with. So Lines of Light was 2002, so 2000, 2002, 2004, 2006, and then the Fringe changed to a different date. So I think it was like 3 years later, so or 2.5. So there was kind of like almost a 3-year break, and then it was every 2 years. We did a one-off Lines of Flight show in Christchurch after the earthquake, just to they asked us if we could do something there to help. And so then there was one a year for a little bit. And then after Peter died, there was a 4-year break because I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue it. But then everybody I said that to first said, oh, it has to continue because it's a huge part of the New Zealand sort of experimental music community. And overseas, a lot of people travel for it these days. And so everyone said, oh, no, it has to continue. And then they said, oh, I'll help. And then it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. I don't need to do it all myself. So I think, the last couple, when I've worked out how many people have helped, there have been like about 60 people in various forms. So yeah, it's back on track. Yeah.
So the first one you did was what, 2000, after Peter's death, was 2004 or 3?
After his death, 2023.
Okay, and then this year you just did one, right? So
And
you're
we did
back
one
on the every other year now.
in October. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have 2 years to save up for my flight
Yeah.
to New Zealand.
Yes, because the last one, Lassie Mahog was supposed to be coming. He was super excited, but he didn't get his funding in the end from Music Norway, which he was really gutted about. So he's on the list for 2 years' time.
Yeah. We're still waiting for our American art funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't come through yet.
I'm sure it's the check is probably in the mail.
Give them a
But the
call.
mail system's been defunded, so we probably won't get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Does yeah, I don't know. Funding is so funny in New Zealand though, right? It's like I feel like it's kind of like no one relies on it, but almost everyone I know has got it at some point or another. And sometimes I think it's hilarious. I always remember that Handful of Dust, that Now God Stand Up for Bastards album, which just, the most brutal, unapproachable, like just complete hellscape of a record in the most awesome way. And then you look at the liner notes and it says, "Thank you to the QE2 Arts Council funding for making this possible." And you're like, taxpayer dollars, like this just the best, it's hilarious.
That Bruce
Yeah.
Russell record he put out with Delaney,
Stapleton.
guitar player. Yeah, I think that had the
Yes.
funding logo on the back as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the stuff that you manage to slip through the cracks is just wonderful.
Yeah. Well, Bruce, of course, is a wonderful writer, so he'd be very good at putting a funding application
That's right.
together.
Right.
I mean, I remember years ago in Christchurch, there was kind of a semi-official busking festival, but they had kind of semi-organized acts around town. So you can imagine the kind of people who are playing, singer-songwriters, 15-year-old girls and so, but also the Handful of Dust. And I remember reading the brochure, and each band or act playing had words describing them. And Handful of Dust description was local musicians, which wasn't even true because Alistair Galbraith lived in Dunedin.
And Bruce Russell is a non-musician, so
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. No, exactly. No, I always feel like it's a coup when anybody, whose work I like gets funding over there. It's like, oh wow, you managed to pull that one off. That's hilarious.
Yes.
there is still a fair amount of funding, but it has gotten tighter and tighter. Of course, our main funding governmental organization, Creative New Zealand, has not had a funding increase in something like 12 years. So they're still depending on the same pool of money that they were getting 12 years ago.
Mm.
So, and we've got a government in right now, which is nowhere near as awful as yours, but is doing its best to try and keep up with what America is doing. So,
What are you talking about?
yeah.
I have to say that, like, I have a special hatred in my heart for the current New Zealand administration. Like, just it's just like I keep it in a little box and it just simmers away, just pure unbridled hatred for that administration.
Yeah. You're not alone there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll be out next year.
Yeah. But they'll have done so much destruction before then.
Yeah. There's
And they'll manufacture some kind of economic crisis to potentially keep them in power as well. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, well, one thing an economic crisis is good for is good music, though, right? Like, look at
Sure.
look at
Yeah.
Thatcher's England,
Everyone thought that though when Trump first got elected, and no good there was no resurgence of American punk or anything like that.
True.
All the punk and hardcore bands are still putting out the same schlock.
It's true.
Yeah.
When I
There was no uptick.
nobody when
Yeah.
I first moved to America, it was Bush and Bush too, and there was a real, like, the underground here felt like everyone's pushing back against this and everyone has something to say about it, and it felt like people were like really energized and kind of any kind of underground culture is a resistance of some sort to the cultural hijra. And I think of Double Leopards as part of that, right? Like, I mean, I see it as part of that wave that was happening at the time. But it was like, as soon as Obama got in, everybody was like, oh, whew, okay,
Right. Everything's
that's
perfect.
over, back to normal. And
Yeah.
it just ended up, and I've never seen that again. As horrendous as successive governments have been, I've never seen that response from the underground where people have said, oh, okay, well, let's use this as a catalyst for the work. It has never really happened again, which has kind of mystified me. So maybe Luxon won't, catalyze a wave of brilliant New Zealand underground music, Well, he definitely won't.
Yeah.
We should have a anti-New Zealand administration protest down the street. Just like you and I with signs.
Yeah.
Just
sign up that says, trust me, they're really bad.
That'd be great.
If you had heard of them, you would be appalled.
I'll have a kiosk though, selling records though by you guys and Bruce and stuff.
Support New Zealand artists in this time.
A cunning plan.
This is a good idea. I'm doing a record fair tomorrow, so maybe I'll make a
Right.
sign.
Nice.
So you
Uh,
said there's still like another 12 hours of eye recordings, did you say?
Uh, Probably about 40 or 50
Yeah.
hours.
yeah.
You're 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether, I mean,
It's daunting to listen to. I do remember one great our practices were usually about an hour long, sort of 60 minutes or so, which we'd record. I remember there was one where at the start of it we talked about trying to do a cover of Mekong Delta blues.
oh, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell
And
yeah.
you started with all this kind of bomb sounds, and then after about 20 minutes, I remembered, oh, that's right, we're doing that, and popped in some of the riffs in. But I remember that being really good. I would like to
Yeah.
find that, see what that's like.
I feel
Yeah.
like
We also were doing a cover at one point we did several versions of Translucent Carriages by Pearls Before
oh
Swine.
wow.
So yeah,
Oh,
Peter doing vocals on that. So
When we say cover,
yeah,
not a faithful, not these aren't faithful renditions.
no.
More the
Interpretation.
idea of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Mekong Delta Blues is almost like the closest thing New Zealand has to a standard, in the world of music that you're moving in. I mean,
Mm.
well,
Mm.
I like to think of it that way anyway. Yeah. Those are a great couple of songs. I was shocked to see on the current records that Datama popping up. That was really surprising. I mean, I didn't know. I know that Ida had revisited certain songs, and Victor Dimisic to Terminals, to or Vacuum
Mm.
to Victor Dimisic to Terminals, but outside of that, I hadn't seen him revisit his previous lyrics or anything like that. So I was really surprised to see that. Was that something he did other times that isn't on
Yeah,
the records? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
Yeah, and in the last few years, I'd say in the last 2 or 3 years, he was kind of reticent to sing or to talk
Yeah,
or to
he
certainly to
hated the sound
record.
of his own voice, as
oh,
many people do. He really like wanted us to bury his vocals in the mix.
yeah.
So we had to really fight with him to get his vocals turned out.
His
But
his lyrics are so amazing.
Oh,
and Black Ships, Mick Alvarado was telling me that the Terminals had tried Black Ships a number of times, and even
Oh, right.
-2, which was the version of the Terminals without Peter and Brian. They worked on a version of Black Ships at one point too, but they just couldn't make it work. So
Hmm.
Oh, right.
that's
yeah.
interesting.
I didn't know that. Yeah,
Mm.
Oh,
yeah, because a lot of people don't realize that Peter was did basically all the lyrics for his old bands. You know, Dardama, Terminal. Well, Roy did some of the lyrics and
Mm.
Dardama, but yeah, Peter was a great lyric writer.
yeah, people don't often think of percussionists as lyricists. I mean, like, he's kind of
No,
behind the
no,
band, but he's, yeah,
yeah, even like Pin Group, Victor Dimisic band, Vacuum. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I played that. I played the Dotema version of the song yesterday on my radio show. I've been the last
Nice.
couple of weeks I've been doing. I have to watch, how much I lean into my own like carbon related stuff, because
Of
we're,
course. Mm.
you know,
Conflict of interest.
yeah, exactly. But I've been playing, I mean, over the last like month or so, I've been doing like chunks of Peter centric projects,
Nice.
I do the shows real loose too. So I mean, I fill my bag with stuff. I don't really know what I'm going to play, and you pointing that out, the idea of that it being a cover or reinterpretation of that song, I made note. I'm like, oh, I got to play that one. And I played like Vacuum and stuff like that. And then as I'm playing all this stuff, like last week, I think I mentioned, as I'm playing these, I realize they're actually Kim Peters centric things too, because there was so many of these collaborations that I've been playing that I'm like, oh, it's both of them on a lot of these
Mm.
recordings.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kim earlier, like kind of hooking up a kind of a tryout or whatever. Was she that? Was she did she like doing that? Like connecting people, seeing that these people might play well together, or was
Oh,
that
I
just
see what
a
you mean.
one-off kind of thing?
I think it was a one-off kind of thing, more so,
Hmm.
just because they were both friends. Um, yeah, yeah. I was hoping to see Kim last weekend. Actually, I went up to Littleton, and stayed with Peter Wright for a few days, and then Kim's moved. For many years, Kim lived in this warehouse on the waterfront in Dunedin because she's a painter. That's her predominant kind of art practice at the moment. Very good painter,
Amazing painter.
amazing.
Super great.
And yeah, kind of abstract. And she, a couple of years ago, moved about 40 minutes north of Dunedin she's bought a church, an old stone church with a beautiful spire, and she's living there. So I've visited a couple of times. I was hoping to see her, yeah, last weekend and catch up and maybe drop a record to her, but
Mm.
it will happen. But yeah, obviously she played music in all those bands. She's an amazing filmmaker as well.
For sure.
So for a lot of the Lines of Flight festivals, that kind of for 10 years almost, she almost did a film for every band, sort of glacial speed. I think part of her modus operandi, she'd film stuff and then she'd slow it down to like 2% of its speed. And so you've got these beautiful things.
Yeah, with lots of, digital artifacts from it being so slow. So, a seagull taking off or whatever with all the um, between frame
Yeah, the interlacing
artifacts.
happening at slow speed. Yeah. Did,
Oh, yeah.
are those videos anywhere? I know you've sent me that archive of a lot of live videos and stuff, but are those like the actual things she created for those? Are those anywhere online, or
There's
were they ever
some.
released on a DVD or something? Or
I'll send you a link. There is a New Zealand website, I think it's called Circuit,
Oh, yes.
which is
okay.
is it Mark Williams?
Mark Williams, yeah.
Which is a film website, and
Oh, okay.
there's about 6 of her films on there. I'll send it to you. Yeah,
Yeah, great. Yeah, yeah. I'll
all of
put
those
those
have
in there.
certainly been played to at Lines of Flight.
Mm,
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll add those to the show notes when I post this. And
great.
I'll post also
Hmm.
that other website one of you sent me a while ago when we were
Oh,
first
the
talking
Dunedin
about
Sounds.
when we were first talking about photos for the zine. I
Yes.
just started, man, I lost myself watching so many of those over the course of probably a couple days.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's
Great
that's
archive.
kind of in recent years. The guy Fraser Thompson, who has basically been going to either 1 or 2 gigs a week in Dunedin for the last 5 years or more, maybe
Mm,
5, 10 years, and his amazing, exhaustive documentation with photos, video, and audio.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a great
which,
archive.
which is so good because the previous Dunedin video archivist, Alan Starrett, would bring his VHS video camera to gigs, hold it for a while he was watching the band, and then start having a conversation with someone, and then go home, take the tape out of the video camera, put it on the shelf without labeling it. So
Yeah.
someday some archivist is going to have a nightmare going through his collection.
Right.
I just think about so many videos like that happened, and also the fact that that person is doing it, going to a couple shows a week and proactively putting them online. Like how
Mm.
many videos I know I'm guilty of it. I take videos of bands. I mean, the festival I've done the last 2 years, I haven't really posted the videos for either of the years. It's on my to-do
Yeah,
list. Um,
sure.
Your to-do
Yeah,
list is pretty substantial, though.
I have a to-do list of
You do
other
a lot of
lists.
things,
Yeah. Um, but there's a lot of people who take a lot of video, but it doesn't not all of it's worth posting either. But it's great that
Mm.
there's this archive that someone's working on, consciously and
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's a few
documenting this stuff. Yeah.
yeah. I think there's two or three
Hmm.
gigs on that one, maybe.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's what you sent. You sent me when you first sent me that site. It was links to those, and then
Right.
started
Yes.
clicking around and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we never played a lot. We would probably play, I don't know, 5 to 10 gigs a year.
Yeah.
So we weren't that proactive.
No.
We probably practiced more.
Yeah, for sure.
But sometimes gigs would come in clumps. You suddenly do 3 in 2 weeks and then nothing for 6 months.
Yeah.
Right.
But there are a few more. Like Anthony Milton filmed that gig where he do you remember? I made some t-shirts years ago as a kind of a joke because I'd done a t-shirt for when I was in Roy Storm and the Invaders. I made a t-shirt that was the Velvet Underground banana, but the banana was New Zealand, and
Great t-shirt.
the Peel Slowly and See was pointed at Dunedin. And then, so to follow on that, when I was in I made us a really bad t-shirt that was really fun. That was the word I, but in the Van Halen.
Oh.
And so Anthony thought it was really cool. And when he did this video of us, he just would keep fading this logo in over the footage. And it kind of takes you out of the moment.
That's pretty good.
And I remember Bruce Russell when he saw these t-shirts on the merch table. And I was like, "You want a t-shirt, Bruce?" And he just looked at it and said, "Hipster bullshit," and walked away.
That's great. That's so good. So what so I know that John, Peter, you're doing Ghost Bells right now. What
Yeah.
John, have you got anything happening now, like solo? You have some solo stuff that's on Band?
Yeah, I've gone completely different direction now, and I'm doing like FM synth ambient music. So I'm calling it power ambient because I play it really loud, but it is still just washy FM sounds and choral samples and stuff like that. Bird song. The fucking world sucks, and listening to ambient music chills me out.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
And if I can chill other people out,
Yeah.
that's good too. Also, I do a radio show in Dunedin on our local public access station of specialized New Zealand music show. And this past year, I've been going down this rabbit hole of New Zealand New Age and ambient stuff because, I think the outside impression that the world has of New Zealand is that we're like Middle Earth and that we're hippy dippy and stuff. And there was a fair amount in the 90s and 80s and the 90s in particular of New Age music being made here that is really the most New Agey of New Agey music. So I've been enjoying exploring.
People need to hear that.
I've been exploring that kind of avenue, and so because it's in my head all the time, I'm just like I want to make that music too.
Do Creative New Zealand know you're doing this? This could be a branding disaster for
Yeah.
I also
do you want to talk about Ghost Bells a little bit too?
Okay, yeah, sure. So Ghost Bells is me and Robbie Yates and Mick Alvarado. So guitar, bass, drums, just a noisy clatter, really. Improvised.
But Mick and Robbie are like a really strong rhythm section, but if you know Robbie's playing style, it occasionally involves you are in the deep, deep, deep in the pocket, and he just stops playing, picks up his beer, has a little sip, laughs at Mick. Mick is still glaring at him, playing the same bass riff, like, "Come on, man, come on, we were right there." And then you guys just kind of collapse for a second, and then it builds up again.
I've learned, it was quite a challenge for me learning how to play guitar to Robbie's drums after Peter, because Peter's very super linear. Robbie's moves around all the time. He likes deliberately sort of messing with what's going on.
For sure.
So I think I found the way I got given a little loop pedal because with I never used pedals. I just had the foot switch for my amp, so very limited in that sense, which is what I liked.
But your guitar and amp combo is a magical creature in itself.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you didn't need any more.
no. It's a very loud valve, old New Zealand valve amp, a rocket amp, 130 watt, and my guitar's a hollow body guitar, so you get really nice feedback and distortion out of that. But more recently got given a little loop pedal, and so I worked out playing with Robbie. If suddenly he shifts around, I can just chuck on a quick loop, and that works really well, you know.
Nice.
So yeah, that was like, okay, that can rather than just everybody stopping going, oh, yeah, what do we do? Where did we go? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the
So,
Goat Bill CD. It's great. It's
oh,
really
thanks for that.
huge
Yeah,
fan.
that was
Mm.
good to get that out through Anthony. But yeah, we should do some more. Maybe next year. Yeah. And then I've got another band called A Dream Is Like a Magic Cloak, which is very different. Again, there's two violinists, Motoko and Ro, Ro plays in the band Sewage, amazing Dunedin kind of free jazz duo, which because they also play saxophone. So this band I'm in, got two violins, and then me just doing kind of quiet drone guitar underneath, improvised again.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
really cool. And John, was your stuff the power ambient? Was that under your name, or does that project have a name? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's so I've gone like as obscure as possible here. It's called Sand with two S's, but it's spelled it's so ridiculous. It's spelled, do you know the German double S that looks like a capital letter B?
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
seen that? So
That's the first half.
yeah, so it's an F set, which is the German double S, and then an ampersand. So
No one knows how to pronounce
so
it.
it kind of looks like band as
I was
well.
gonna say, yeah, most people are like, oh, it's banned.
A band.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
it
and
is.
so because of that, I want to like quickly get band as my band name as well. So I was thinking about doing some sand stuff with collaborators and releasing a sand band record called Band.
That goes back to
So
the rain and sleep conversation we're having
True.
earlier.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Right.
band looks
Yeah.
great in small font. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, I sort of wasn't sure if I was allowed to have a long band name with A Dream Is Like a
That
Magic
is
Cloak.
quite long. Yeah.
It is a Thomas Pynchon quote. So
Oh, is that? Oh,
often with my old, like Pointsman, that's out of Gravity's Rainbow.
oh,
And
is it? Yeah, Gonzo
yeah, one
told
of the
me it was a.
characters.
Gonzo lied to me about that one.
Oh,
Uh,
that sounds like Gonzo.
Yeah, Gonzo told me that it was a rugby reference and that Pointsmen were like a pro rugby free noise band, and that was like the secret intent of the band is that like it was so unpopular to like rugby in the underground that he was secretly smuggling in rugby references.
I remember
That was his description.
we did record that single after watching a game of rugby. I remember that, but yeah, the title was definitely Thomas Pynchon, and he's one of my favorite writers. So
Peter
yeah,
Stapleton, the rugby thing, as you know, Andrew, is a real thing here. Peter Stapleton played league,
Right.
which is, I find that astonishing because growing up in bloody upstate New York, there was a definite divide between the people who
Yeah.
played sport and the people who listened to experimental music.
Right.
And
Right.
and like how small New Zealand is, the first couch that I slept on when I moved to New Zealand was on Andy and Stu on their couch, Gonzo's brothers. So we went to watch rugby games because Andy and Stu were huge into rugby as well. So
Oh,
yeah, they're all into sport, that family.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Gonzo, I think was always very happy with how upsetting other musicians found his like of rugby. Enjoyed that very much.
I
Yeah.
annoy other people in the scene here with my talk of baseball.
Yeah,
Baseball season.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can't do
You don't like
sports. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned about it. I felt like I had to when I moved here, and I remember um, my partner Cara when we first got together in 2004. I was still watching rugby, and I managed to convince her. So she grew up in Dunedin in Southland, and had a complete I do not want to watch sport because I know the culture and all that. And I was like, but the All Blacks, in the early 2000s All Blacks are like they're actually the cutest team in rugby. And they were all these beautiful men. Like that was back in the era of metrosexuals, so they were all wearing their guy liner and having, beautiful coiffed hair and stuff, and it worked. We
The
just stayed
thing
in the house and watched rugby because they were cute.
the thing I always get here is people assume that I know something about rugby or cricket because I'm from New Zealand. I don't know the rules of either of those sports at all. I have no idea. And I had an Uber driver in LA once from Pakistan, and he was like, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "New Zealand." He's like, "Oh, cricket, I want to talk about." It. And I was like, "This guy seems so excited. I don't want to let him down by saying, look, I don't
Yeah.
even know the rules." So I was like, "Shit, how often does this guy get to talk about cricket?" So I was like, "Okay, I can just bullshit my way through this, right? Because every sports conversation is just the same as every other sports conversation." Also, I thought this is what I thought. So I was like, I'll test it out. So the whole Uber ride, I just said, "Oh yeah, well, we're doing all right this year, but not as good as last year. But you're pretty strong right now, right? And
Yeah,
and
perfect.
and we like successfully carried on a conversation about cricket, which I can't name a single cricketer for 20 minutes. And at the end, this guy was stoked. He dropped me off and he was like, "Have a good night." And you could tell, I'd made his night. He got to talk about cricket for
Oh,
20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, wow. Like it really is like that." I thought that was me just being cynical about sport, but I think,
Yeah.
hey,
yeah.
you could
So
probably
I
do
talk
that.
about the weather. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm going to start talking to you about baseball, Joe.
Do
I
it.
feel less lonely. Yeah.
No, it's been
Uh,
great to chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I want to
Okay.
thank you guys for letting me be involved in these records. It was a huge deal. Peter, I think, sent me you sent me an email like kind of out of the blue. I don't remember it
Mm.
really. Maybe you got my name through Bruce or something like that. But
Yeah, I think it might have been Bruce. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and I was blown away by the recordings right off the bat. So I was like super psyched
So good.
to do them. And I've written this on Instagram. I'm what am I, 55 now or something like that. So back in, I got the first, I think Usakill's Dead Sea CD was the first New Zealand thing I got in whatever, 92 probably. Um and when I start the label in 94, to think that I would be working on stuff like this kind of blows me away. Um I guess once you get old enough you meet more and more people. You're bound to meet people, but it's pretty amazing to be involved in these things.
Yeah,
Oh, we're so happy that you're able to put it out. Yeah.
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 I
I
kind of had
mean,
a feeling
similarly in New Zealand growing up, you know, when I talk about coming down to Dunedin and playing in front of, my heroes or, people that are music I love. But then after a while, you meet them all because it's such a small community and you become friends or sometimes you meet somebody and go, oh, they're actually not quite the person I, you know, wanted to meet. So, but it's very, very rare, that
Yeah.
experience down here,
Right.
just like a big community. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think worldwide, I mean, we've in the mid sort of 2010s, Peter and I were involved, part of this community around the New Zealand called Alt Music, where we were touring, visiting musicians like Mert Spo and Matt Moss and Richard Youngs and a heap of people, like 20 or 30. And invariably meeting all those people, they just felt like instant old friends. And yeah, just sort of didn't restore my faith. I've always got good faith in humanity, but but it was lovely just to meet these people and realize, oh yeah, it's just the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I had a funny feeling, right? Writing the essay for this, just thinking, oh yeah, like I think that Lapdog show I was talking about before might have been like maybe the second kind of New Zealand weirdo show I'd ever seen. Maybe,
Wow.
I was like a kid when I went to that, and that really stuck in my head, that show, and I was like, oh, it's like a weird to draw a line from that moment to now.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm still doing the same shit.
Yeah.
It's so
No.
much cooler now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still doing the same
That-
shit, but honestly, that's what I hoped would happen. So,
exactly. Yes. I'm always
Yeah, for sure.
surprised when you meet the occasional person who just stops playing music, and it's
Yeah.
like, wow, why do you want to stop playing
Oh
music?
yeah.
Don't you
Yeah.
love doing it?
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for joining us, man. It's been a pleasure. Thanks to Andrew for hopping on too.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, man.
No, thanks so much.
Yeah, it's been really lovely to kind of share our stories and meet you guys finally. So
Yeah.
I only met you, Andrew, but many years ago. So
Black ships passing in the night, kind of.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think we do need to do the cruise line thing.
Oh, the I cruise. Yeah.
There's, I mean, there's like all these themed cruises, and they're all fucking horrible, like new
Yeah.
metal ones.
Yeah, the Kiss cruise.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
It'd be great to
Yeah.
do a fucking,
There's a smooth jazz cruise, and last time I looked at that online, and it's sold out 4 years in advance. So I'm just saying there's money to be made for I. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Wow. Okay, you organize it.
All right,
Right.
cool. Yeah. Well, thanks.
Thanks.